Greetings, humans. You have entered the Command Zone, your destination for all aspects of Elder Dragon Highlander. Enjoy your stay.
Dum dum da dum da dum da 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 da. Summer lovin' had me a blast. Summer lovin' happened so fast. I met a girl crazy for me. Met a boy cute as can be. Summer days drifting away to
summer nights. So well.
Tell me more. Did you get very far? Tell me more. Then you get very far. All right. That's the song.
Grease.
Get it? It's Grease. It's Grease again because we're doing Theros, but this time it's a different spelling of Grease.
Oh wow!
If you guys saw our preview card, you'll understand, and you listen to the song.
I like it because
it works, right?
Well, I've said many times I'm a theater major, so I love all the musicals.
Yeah, I mean that musical is also very special.
One of the greats.
Okay, what's up, everybody? How's it going? You're watching / listening to the Command Zone podcast. I'm your host, Jimmy Wong.
How's it? It's Josh Lee Kwai. Wow. We are sitting here, and if you're looking at the video, you can see there's a bunch of cards arrayed in front of us, and these are the new legendary creatures from Theros Beyond Death, and there are a lot of them. What is this, 25? 2, 3, 4, 5, 26.
Yowza.
That's a ton, especially for a set, like, we've had sets in the past that were, like, built around legendary creatures, and you expect it, like Dominaria or whatever. Yeah. This is just a regular set.
Well, Wizards has done the same thing where they're putting legends at uncommon, so that means we have a lot of cards to talk about today, and a lot of cards to break down. This is one of 2 set reviews for Theros Beyond Death. The next one, we'll be covering the rest of the non-legendary cards. But let's get right into it. But before we do, make sure that you head on over to cardkingdom.com/commandzone if you're looking to pick up any cards from Theros Beyond Death, or if you want to pick up some of these special versions of the cards. All of the gods have their constellation arts, as well as there's going to be the extended art frames like we saw in the last set, Throne of Eldraine. So a lot of great cards to pick up. The number one place to do it, and you can support the show by doing so, is just by typing in cardkingdom.com/commandzone, and then boom, you're on the website just like anyone else, and you're going to buy Magic cards anyway, so why not help us out in the meantime?
And another way to support all of our content is by supporting our other sponsor, which is UltraPro. UltraPro makes all the stuff that protects all of your gaming pieces. So they make the sleeves for your cards. They make the playmat also for your cards. They made the deck box also for your cards.
I'm sensing a theme here.
They also, speaking of themes, theme a lot of their stuff around the most recent set. So you'll be able to find Theros themed sleeves, deck boxes, playmats. So if you want to roll up with like one of the new Theros gods in a playmat that has the picture of that god in sleeves for that god, well, UltraPro is probably going to be the place where you're going to do that.
Yep. And I think there are 2 cards in here that I'm potentially thinking about building a deck around.
Definitely. Well, we already built one for game nights.
Yeah.
There's another one I've been eyeing myself. So some exciting stuff. And the final way to support all of our content is directly if you go to patreon.com/commandzone. You can join our community, chat with Jimmy and I on Discord. If you're at the correct tier level, you get to watch things like game nights earlier than anybody else.
And our community is thriving. We have this whole deck tech area. People always send us decks to break down. We don't have time for it. But you post your deck list in the Discord, you're going to get 5, 10, 15 people giving you amazing advice and discussing what you're doing, which is awesome.
Yeah, we have a lot of EDH veterans in our Discord. Also, they like to discuss the latest episode. The episode we did while you were gone, Jimmy, was with Craig and I talking about ramp. And we had this whole discussion about, is Sword of Feast and Famine a ramp card? Is Seedborn Muse a ramp card? A lot of controversy surrounding that. The Discord really had a lot of fun discussions that we've been getting involved with. So
that's cool.
Again, patreon.com/commandzone. And one of the other benefits is we shout out one lucky patron every single episode. Are you ready for this one?
Yeah.
All right. And the random number generator sometimes gives us tough ones. This episode is dedicated to Lucas Vaznicki de Andrade. Lucas, pretty sure we got that right. You rock.
Do you pronounce the K in the second one, or you just go straight to Vaznicki?
I said Vaznicki.
Yeah,
but it could be Kvaznicki.
Yeah, that's cool name. Either way,
sometimes V's are W's. I'm not sure what culture
right.
this is from too. Kwasnicki? I don't know. I have no idea. I'm sorry, Lucas, but we got the Andrade part probably right.
Yeah,
probably.
I think so. Yeah, you definitely pronounced the E at the end of that one.
Okay. All right. Main topic: Theros Beyond Death, the new legendary creatures, the new commander review. So Theros is a plane that's all about devotion. So there's a bunch of the devotion mechanic, which cares about how many of the pips, which is the colored mana symbols in the top right corner of cards that you have on the battlefield.
Any permanents.
Right. So as a result, there's not any 3 color or more commanders. There's no 5-color commander. Usually, most sets we've had like 1 or 2 5-color. There's none in this set. It's monocolor or 2-color because Devotion really wants you to stick to 1 or 2 colors.
Yep, and this is in theme with the original Theros block as well.
We've got a bunch of the gods returning, and they're templated the same as the gods were in original Theros. We've seen gods since, like on Amonkhet, that were templated slightly differently.
Yeah, and they're different. The gods here are indestructible. The old gods would maybe shuffle into your library or bounce to your hand in different ways.
They're enchantment creatures, which means they count as both. So things to keep in mind. All right, let's start here. We're going to go down alphabetically.
Yep.
So
we've got quite a lot to go through.
Yeah. All right. You want to read the first one?
Yeah. The first one is Illyrios Enraptured. 2 and a blue for a 2/3 legendary creature human. Illyrios enters the battlefield tapped. Illyrios doesn't untap during your untap step unless you control a reflection. And when Illyrios enters the battlefield, create a 3/2 blue reflection creature token. And the flavor text, why would they ever want to look away? So it's this young Illyrios looking into the water, seeing a reflection. He's a 2/3. He makes a 3/2. He doesn't untap unless you have a reflection out there. Can you guess what Greek god this is based off of?
My Greek mythology is not great. What should one?
Narcissus.
Oh, yes.
Because he's a narcissist.
Yep. So, yeah, and it can't see reflection, then...
It doesn't care, yeah. It needs to have...
Can't see my reflection, then I don't even want to be here. So
There's a lot of actually famous art of Narcissus that's in the exact same pose of him sort of like gazing over a pond, which is cool. The flavor's great.
So, interesting card. It's an uncommon, so not incredibly pushed. I think this is obviously like blinky stuff.
Yeah.
Panharmonicon, Conjurer's Closet.
Definitely better than the 99. You don't want to make a deck around this.
You might put this into a deck that's going to blink it, but it has Brago or Rune or something like that at the helm. I don't think you're going to be very well served having this as your commander. Because making a 3/2... over and over, it's okay. It's not great.
Yeah.
I mean, why not just Thragtusk? Although that does cost more mana.
At the base, 3 mana, you get 5 power. So it's like 5 power, 5 toughness. It's not actually that bad. It's just very slow because Illyrios himself has all of this other stuff that he needs to untap.
Yeah, true. Okay. We are not super impressed with Illyrios. The next legendary creature is Annex, Hardened in the Forge. I don't know where, because it used to be Annex and Cymodine.
That's right.
But it's not anymore. Annex is by himself. Has a cool constellation version of the card, which I'm holding right here. Okay, 1 red for a star 3. It's a legendary enchantment creature demigod.
Yeah, first time we see demigods, by the way.
Annex's power is equal to your devotion to red. So it's a 2/3 if it's the only thing out because it has 2 red pips. Obviously, if you have more red pips, it could be huge. Whenever Annex or another non-token creature you control dies, you create a 1/1 red satyr creature token with this creature can't block. If the creature had 4 power or greater, meaning the creature that died, the non-token creature that died, you create 2 of those tokens instead. So a little bit wordy, but while Annex is out, if any of your non-tokens die, you get a satyr creature token. But if the thing that died had 4 power, you get 2 satyr tokens, including Annex. So if Annex dies and it happened to have 4 power at that time, you'll get 2 satyrs. But the satyrs can't block.
Yeah, they can't block. Then they don't have haste either, which is something that you would expect satyrs to sometimes have.
Yeah, so it's a token card. I think, I automatically think of like aristocrats style decks because anytime you're sacrificing a creature and getting another creature, which means you're basically allowed to sacrifice your creatures twice. Like imagine you have Ashnod's Altar out and like any kind of like little creature, a goblin or something, if you sack it, you get 2 mana. It creates a satyr that you can then sack and get 2 mana. So all your creatures turn into 4 mana. That's just with Ashnod's Altar. There's all kinds of effects that kind of do that. Now, mono red, you'd have to be in to have Annex at the helm. So it kind of limits you in that respect. Yeah,
I don't think this is a commander either. But it does seem really interesting for Korvold kind of decks because you're going to be sacrificing a lot of things. And it has red in it because Aristocrats typically is black-white. The original Perforos as well. You get a lot of damage off these creatures that get sacrificed.
You could do Aristocrats... Rakdos and Perforos is great, right? Because every time, you're sacking creatures, more are coming to the battlefield. We're talking about old Perforos because there is a new Perforos.
Yes.
But anytime a creature enters the battlefield, does 2 damage to each of your opponents. So this is a way to like play a little creature, does 2 damage to everybody, sack it, makes another creature, does 2 damage to everybody, kind of get in those kind of loops.
I don't think you really want to sack power 4 creature greater creatures in general. Just
true, but if it dies.
Good. Yeah, if it dies, which is pretty good.
Or maybe there are creatures power 4 or greater that maybe make multiple tokens when they come in and you kind of get into...
a little loop there.
Yeah. The next card is sort of famous for going infinite with Ashnod's Altar and anything that makes extra creatures.
Yeah. Nim Death Mantle. It gives a creature +2/+2. More importantly, it's a 2-mana equipment that whenever a non-token creature is put into the graveyard from your battlefield, you can pay 4 mana. And if you do, you return that card to the battlefield and you reattach the Nim Death Mantle to it.
So what happens is, with Ashnod's Altar or some way to sack creatures for mana, that pays for the cost of Nim Death Mantle, which sort of endlessly can bring back certain things. So,
yeah. And then in this case, do damage over and over again.
And if you have enough red pips out, Annex has 4 power, makes 2 satyrs, which gives you the 4 mana to bring it back, and you can get into that loop. So if Perforos is out in that instance, then you just kill everybody.
Yeah, or you sacrifice them to a Goblin Bombardment type of effect. Yep. Lots of interesting things to do there, but by itself is just a bit tougher to work with. Now, notably, there is a satyr lord in this set called Galia, the Endless Dance, that maybe pairs along well with Annex.
Yeah, interesting. We'll talk about that in a second.
Yeah. All right, next up is a mono black commander is Feemia, the Cacophony. 1 in the black for a 2/1 legendary enchantment creature, Harpy. It has flying, and at the beginning of your end step, you may exile an enchantment card from your graveyard. If you do, create a 2/2 black zombie creature token. This is a great limited card.
I mean, it's a 2-mana 2/1 flyer with upside. Yeah. I mean, I think
it's just okay, to be honest.
Well, it's
how many enchantments are you going to be playing in black?
Thinking, why's it got to be enchantment? That makes it so limited. I think you got to be in self-mill, have a lot of enchantments in your deck, and then the most you can really get per turn is 1 2/2 zombie. It's very hard. You've got Strionic Resonator down here. That's a way to make 2 zombies, but it costs you 2 mana. Do you want to pay 2 mana for an extra 2/2?
You could do it, pay it for a lot. Yeah, there's a lot better things to invest mana in.
I mean, Zombie Reanimator, Animate Dead, Liliana's Mastery, those types of cards are enchantments that also care about zombies.
This pairs well if you play Deadweight.
Sure, kill the thing and goes
or Seal of Doom. So these are enchantments that will find their way into your graveyard.
Seal of Doom's not so bad, but I don't want to play Deadweight in a deck.
Yeah, I guess if you're playing Pioneer or something, you Deadweight into a Feemia and then have 4 power on turn 2.
Sure. Pioneer. Sure.
Yeah. See.
Yeah.
There.
It's not that. it's not a card we're probably going to see much.
No.
The next one is a Rasta of the Endless Web. It's 2 green for a legendary enchantment creature, a spider. It's a 3/5 with reach. So 4 mana, 3/5 reach. Whenever an opponent casts an instant or sorcery spell, create a 1/2 green spider creature token with reach.
That's actually kind of cool.
I mean, it's interesting, right? Because you don't have control of it.
Yes, correct.
It's hard to build your deck around this. I mean, I thought of Faraz's Ban.
It's so silly.
Which is a 6 mana artifact that says creature spells cost 2 more to cast. Because I was like, how do you force your opponents to cast instants and sorceries? You make it harder to cast other things.
Yeah.
But even that wouldn't necessarily make them cast instants or sorceries. They just would cast their creatures at a slower rate or something. I don't know. I don't know. I just can't think of the deck that really wants this because it's so...
You just want to put it in a deck that wants spiders. Like Ishkanah.
But you might not even get spiders.
It's true, but maybe this is better than your other random spider you had in your deck that doesn't do as much as a Rasta. And let's say a Rasta makes you at least 1 spider. That's 4 mana for a 4/7 in power and toughness.
Yeah, but I mean,
Ishkanah at least has the text, and same with Rot Widow Pack, where you can pay mana and then your opponent's loses life for the spider to control.
Yeah.
So maybe you get a bunch after a while, and Rasa is just another one on top of it. I can see this being kind of another token deck thingy mabobber. But the thing is, I would love to get this out in turn 2. Because then people are casting the ramp spells, and you have other things are going to happen.
Yeah, see, it's 4 mana, so it's probably after their Kodama's Reaches and Rampant Grips have already been cast. And then it's I don't know. If they're worried because you have a bunch of spiders or you're doing something, they just don't cast the instants and sorceries, probably.
Yeah, but even then, it's only giving you 1, so it's not as crazy. I think this is generically okay value, and it's a card that if you're really into spiders, and honestly, who is really into spiders?
Spider Tribal, it's out there.
I have arachnophobia, so that's not for me.
It's only going in the Spider Tribal deck, I think. I don't think you're playing it otherwise,
Yeah. True. All right, next up, this one's actually a really interesting one. It's Atris, Oracle of Half-Truths. It's incredibly flavorful. 2 a blue and a black for a 3/2 legendary creature, Human Advisor with Menace. And when Atris enters the battlefield, target opponent looks at the top 3 cards of your library and separates them into a face-down pile and a face-up pile. Put 1 pile into your hand and the other into your graveyard.
I like that part of it because it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
They can like play games with you.
Yeah, you
Show you like one
lands.
good card and 2 lands. You're like, well, man, the 2 cards supposed to be awesome. Or they wouldn't do
Two's
that.
always better than one, right?
I wish it was when it attacked 2 or something. That'd be too good for like
it's just
regular
ETB.
Magic. But it's just like, how are you going to get to do this over and over again, even if it's your commander? Because it's 4 mana for like a pretty minimal effect, likely to draw you 1.5 cards maybe.
Yeah, unless you're all about blinking,
Yeah, in which case Demir's not the best at that. I guess you could do it though. You could have some blinky stuff. I guess if you built this as your commander, you would have some blinky stuff. But even then, like, it's like moderate value for the blink.
I'd rather stick it in a Muldrotha deck because then you get to play the cards out of your graveyard no matter what. So this becomes like a 4 mana draw 3, which is okay for a creature.
Yeah, I guess so. I think, yeah, that's true because the cards go to your graveyard. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I like stuff like that. I think you probably want like top scroll rack.
Oh, for sure.
In this deck because
So you
then they
always
can't
know.
trick you. You're just like, I know what all the cards are, so it would be very hard for them to like, separate them into a pile where you don't get the best part of it.
Yeah. This card does not feel pushed. I think if it was 3 mana, it'd be much better. But you could also play like Mystic Sanctuary, get some stuff back. It's kind of one of those things. I did find it funny that this works for cards like Sidisi and Sir Conrad because you're milling into your graveyard, so you'll get more stuff out of that. And this goes into, the Sir Conrad goes into this deck, and this would go into a Sidisi deck. One thing I found online, though, it's an advisor. So if you ever want the commander for your Persistent Petitioners deck, maybe Atreus is the one.
Sure. I'd rather, okay, sure.
I mean,
at least there's card advantage for a deck like that, which maybe has trouble with it. It's blue-black. They don't have trouble with card advantage. What am I saying?
Either way, you don't take the pile with Persistent Petitioners because you'll probably just draw some more.
All right, so the next one is Khalifi, Beloved of the Sea. 1 blue for a star 3 legendary enchantment creature demigod. Khalifi's power is equal to your devotion to blue. Big surprise there. So it's a 2/3 for 3 mana at its base. Creatures and enchantments you control have spells your opponents cast that target this permanent cost 1 more to cast. So sort of makes it a little bit harder to target your creatures and enchantments. This is, I mean, we shouldn't talk about this one probably for too long because it's clearly not really something you build a deck around. Maybe like mono blue.
It's in
Voltron.
a cycle of the uncommon gods.
Yeah, which are all pretty middling. Mono blue aura Voltron, maybe you put like a Penman's Aura on it. Penman's Aura has a bunch of things, but it has a bunch of different abilities. But the one I think you want is enchanted creature gains Shroud until end of turn.
Yeah,
which means that it will be difficult for them to target. They'll have to pay extra, and then
yeah.
You
play Khalif if you have stuff you want to protect, creatures and enchantments specifically, but it's whatever, to be honest.
If you did like Aura Voltron, you always got to be worried about board wipes, so maybe you play something like Crystal Chimes to like help you recover, which is a 3 mana artifact. You pay 3, tap and sacrifice it, and return all enchantment cards from your graveyard to your hand.
Yeah, it's a kind of cool card. You don't really see that very often.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Let's move on. Next up, Dalekos, Crafter of Wonders. 1 blue and a red for a legendary creature, Merfolk Artificer. That's a 2/4. And you can tap it to add colorless. Spend this mana only to cast artifact spells or activate abilities of artifacts. And equip creatures you control have flying and haste. So this is actually really interesting. It's a blue-red artifact equipment matters deck. I'm actually going to be playing this, spoiler alert, on the next game nights. So I crafted a whole deck around it. And we'll be doing a deck tech on it, so we're not going into huge detail here, but this is basically the card Renowned Weaponsmith on a commander. By itself, it's just a 3 mana commander that ramps you for 2 for artifacts, which is, that to know that you always have that card in the command zone and will always play it on turn 3 means you could build an entire deck with a lot of really good 6-drops.
I mean, it's kind of a worn power, at its least, a worn Power Stone in your command zone.
Yeah.
And worn Power Stone's a good card that goes in a lot of decks.
Yeah, it needs to be artifact spells or activate abilities of artifacts.
Right, but I mean, you would never run this in a deck that doesn't have like at least 30 artifacts or whatever. And then, you can activate the abilities and equip the creatures with the artifacts with Dalekos' mana. So that helps a lot. So it seems like if you just took every equipment in Magic and then you added the text, gives haste and flying, to what it did, then some of the equipment becomes busted.
Well, that's why Batterskull is so good in this deck, is because it comes in, it already is equipped to a creature, so you only pay an equip cost. It's a living weapon, so it has flying, haste, and lifelink. And then boom, you smack someone for a bunch of damage in the air immediately.
Yeah, out of nowhere, This is the deck where if Dalekos is out, you always got to be worried you could die if you don't have like a flying blocker.
Yeah.
Because they could just play something crazy and then...
And you know it's always going to be
smack you out of the
well.
air and it's got haste, yeah.
Yeah.
I think this is actually a very strong commander, and you know, in recent years we've seen a lot more blue and red artifact matters commanders, and this is a good one.
Yeah, you also want cards that attach to creatures when it comes in, like or cards that have 0 equip costs, so you can always
move them around.
flip them around. Yeah, like Shuko, Ronin War Club automatically attaches, and then you know cards like Mere Battlesphere, Steel Hellkite are all just like massive things you drop in and smack people with
Yeah,
Dalekos.
Wormcoil Engine, like because you can just pay the cost for it, so this taps to cast it.
Yeah,
just so you don't have to only have equipment.
Yeah, play them on turn 3. By turn 4, you have 4 lands. And then on turn 4, you can play a 6-drop.
Yeah,
so,
which is good.
Yeah, very good.
I mean, that's if you didn't find any of their other ramp. Like, let's say you played a Signet on turn 2. Now all of a sudden, turn 4, you got 7 mana. That's Mere Battlesphere turn 4.
Yeah,
pretty good. All right, the next one is Daxos. Daxos is back. Blessed by the Sun. Costs white for a 2/star, 2/star. Legendary enchantment creature demigod. Daxos is, you guessed it, toughness is equal to your devotion to white. And it says, whenever another creature you control enters the battlefield or dies, you gain 1 life.
Okay. All right. White loves gaining life. The demigods. This is the white version, by the way. It's kind of cool that the uncommons are demigods and the mythic and rares are the gods. Yeah. So it's kind of like the Soul Sister decks, which is a combination of Soul Warden and Soul's Attendant, that when creatures enter the battlefield, you gain a life.
There's a whole bunch of different versions of this card. The Soul Sisters are kind of the most common ones, but there's a lot of cards that say, you know, when creatures enter the battlefield in some way or leave the battlefield, you gain a life.
In this case, it says when they die as well, which I think is a little more interesting. None of this card interests me really at all.
Well, it's just not doing anything that different than stuff that's already out there. So would you rather run Daxos or Ailey or Uncle Carl or, you know, one of these other life gain things? It's tough. I mean, some cards that would definitely go in this deck, Archangel of Thune. Every time you gain life, put a 1/1 counter on each creature you control. Dawn of Hope is sort of card draw with life gain. Well of Lost Dreams is also drawing cards when you gain life.
You kind of have to do whatever you can to effectively use the life gain here.
And then, you know, you probably want stuff that sort of cares about how much life you have. So Felidar Sovereign, you win the game if your life total is above 40.
If you're playing this in a black deck, like an Aristocrats type deck, because you're gaining life as well, you're not taking life away, but you can play cards like Forever Young, which, you know, you sack all your things, put them all on top of your library, and if you have Bolus of Citadel out, you've gained a ton of life, and then you can just replay all of them off the top of your library and get a ton of triggers that way. This might be good in a defense-based deck because you might have really high devotion to white.
Oh, because Daxos has a big butt.
Yeah, so High Alert or Huatli, the Sun's Heart. Someone said Darien, King of Kildor online, which is find this funny because whenever you're dealt damage, you create that many 1/1 white soldier creature tokens.
Gain all the life from them coming in. That's sort of like the Soul Sisters type thing. So that's cool. But they're just not going to hit you then. Yeah, they'll just get rid of your creatures or board wipe. So really cool strategy for like all of 10 seconds. All right, we're to our first god.
All right, and a good one. It's Erebos, Bleak-Hearted. 3 and a black for a 5/6 legendary enchantment creature god. Has indestructible. As long as your devotion to black is less than 5, Erebos isn't a creature.
So same as before.
And he only has 1 black pip, so it does not get you very close. And whenever another creature you control dies, you may pay 2 life. If you do, draw a card. And also the text, 1 in the black, sacrifice another creature, and target creature gets -2/-1 until end of turn.
So you can actually make your creatures die to draw the cards and also get other benefit.
Kill someone, Kill something. I mean, -2, -1's not going to kill a lot, but we'll kill some stuff. Interestingly, for those who haven't dealt with the gods much, you usually don't want it to be a creature because it's way safer when it's not, because Path to Exile, Swords to Plowshares cannot hit an enchantment. And because it has indestructible, there's just a limited amount of stuff in Magic's history that exiles enchantments. There are some, but not a ton. And your opponents might not be running it. Yeah,
so it's just a lot safer when it's not a creature. So if you build around the abilities of the gods, it's one of the reasons they're so good. It really is like having an enchantment in your command zone, and you generally don't want to hit that devotion mark because then they're vulnerable.
I mean, this is quite the enchantment for 4 mana.
Yeah,
anytime
it does a
creature you control dies, you pay 2 life to get a card, or you can pay 1 in the black to sack something and then potentially remove a problematic threat and draw a card off it.
And, it's going to be an aristocrat-style deck, again, because it's going to want to be sacrificing its own creatures to draw cards. Probably sacrificing its own creatures to effects that aren't its own ability, because it's mana-intensive. But it could do that just if you need to get rid of that Oracle Moldiah.
In the pinch,
pay 4 mana, get rid of it, draw 2 cards, take 4 damage.
Maybe gain some back because you have aristocrats.
Sounds pretty good, actually.
Yeah, I mean, Erebos it's just got a lot of text on there, and it's an indestructible enchantment for the most part. Also, if someone does point a removal spell at it, you can just sacrifice creatures away until you don't have devotion anymore.
That's a good point, too.
And then it becomes an enchantment
if you
all
have
of a
the
sudden.
mana and everything, and just be like, that Swords of Plowshares fizzles now.
Yeah, it doesn't, because it's not a legal target,
Yeah. So you're going to have the Altars, Grave Pacts, the new Yawgmoth.
Thran Physician, who kind of is similar to...
Right, wants creatures to die, and you draw cards and put -1 counters on stuff, right?
Yeah.
Razaketh, I think, is a really good one.
Oh, yes.
Because you sack creatures to tutor, and then, draw cards too.
Vilis, obviously, whenever you lose life, draw that many cards. So anytime a creature dies, you pay 2 life, draw 2 cards, and then Erebos also draws you a card, so 3 cards.
3 cards per thing dying?
Yeah.
That seems good.
And the nice thing about Erebos is it does not specify non-token, which makes it very, very good, and just like the Aristocrats kind of deck.
Smothering Abomination is another good one where every time you sacrifice a creature, you draw a card. So now, anytime you sack a creature, you're going to pay 2 life and draw 2 cards. Yep.
Korvold, again, it's just such a catch-all for any deck that likes sacrificing things.
Yeah, so again, it would go in the Korvold deck.
Tons of cards that Erebos works with. Good job, Erebos. You're the best card so far.
Yeah. I mean, it's a tried and true strategy. You know it works. It might not be the best to helm that strategy.
Yeah.
But that strategy is powerful, even if you just had like a vanilla creature at the helm. And Erebos definitely does synergize with Aristocrats with a lot of its text. So it's going to be, better than obviously a vanilla 2/2 or something. But all right, the next one is Utopia, the twice favored. I thought this was Utopia, but it has an R in there. Utopia. Twice favored. 1 a green and a blue, so 3 mana for a 2/2 human wizard, legendary creature, of course. Has Constellation, which is a returning mechanic, means whenever an enchantment enters the battlefield under your control, that's what Constellation is, you put a 1/1 counter on target creature. That creature gains flying until end of turn.
Lift off.
So you have to have an enchantment come in, and that jumps your creature into the air. But the 1/1, it's a counter, so it will stay.
Yep. It doesn't draw you a card, which I kind of want my Enchantress-esque creatures to do.
Yes.
But I guess if you are wanting to find more interesting ways of getting damage in your Enchantress-based deck, I mean, especially if you're playing a lot of auras and stuff, so you're trying to pump something up really big, then this is kind of nice.
Yeah, it's a deck that wants creatures to attack and wants enchantments. It reminded me of Kestia, and I think a lot of the cards in both will be the same. It's a little bit disappointing it doesn't have white, because white is a big enchantment color. It takes away some of your enchantresses, which are the ones that are going to draw your cards. So the fact that it's in Simic hurts it a little bit. Some of the good cards in that deck, or in this deck, I think will be like Nylea's Colossus.
Oh yeah, it also has Constellation.
Yeah, so it's a 7 mana 6/6, but whenever Nylea's Colossus or another enchantment enters the battlefield under your control, you double target creature's power and toughness until end of turn. So with
really
the 1/1 counter, they get a flying 1/1 counter, double it. You might be able to, if it's Utopia, you might be able to knock them out with commander damage in 1 hit.
Yeah.
If you can play like 2 enchantments in a turn, double.
Right. And I mean, this is green, so you're going to be able to ramp up to those bigger spells. A good target for those enchantment auras, as well as the +1/+1 counter, would be Cold-Eyed Selkie, who's 1, and then hybrid Simic. Has Island Walk, and whenever Cold-Eyed Selkie deals combat damage to a player, you may draw that many cards. Ooh. So very good. Obviously, if you pair it up with Nylea's Colossus, then it goes nuts. Yeah, it's similar to the Rafik decks that run Cold-Eyed Selkie. And Island Walk means, I mean, outside of the flying and Island Walk, you will pretty much be able to hit whoever you want.
I think you probably want to run some of the Bestow enchantments. So Bestow was enchantment from original Theros. That's like an enchantment aura, but then it becomes its creature on its own if the creature that it's attached to or trying to attach to dies for some reason.
Yeah, which is pretty neat.
Yeah, so Boon Satyr is a good one. It is 1 green, has flash, and it's a 4/2. But if you cast it for Bestow, which is 3 green, then it's an aura enchant creature that gives the creature +4/+2, +5/+3 with Utopia out and flying. The flash helps you a lot here. It can be used as a combat trick.
Yeah, out of nowhere.
And then also it can become the creature that you enchant the next thing to if something happens to the creature you put it on or whatever.
Yeah, it's nice because in general, these enchantment auras are such bad 2-for-1s if the creature gets removed, but Bestow gets around that a little bit, which is, thank goodness.
Thassa's Emissary also Bestow, but the creature draws you a card when it deals combat damage. It gives +3/+3. So again, those type of cards. I think this could be, people ask us a lot, like, my play group, my decks are a lot stronger. What do I do? You could build a deck around something like Utopia that's like hard to make Utopia into a 7. Right? You know what I mean? Maybe
it's an easily counterable strategy, which is remove creatures.
Yeah, right? And you have to attack, you got to hit them, but there is some power there. There is a lot of punching power out of nowhere. So it's not like you can't play the game and won't do stuff, but like the most optimal build of Utopia is probably a 7, like, and it would be hard to get there. You would have to like,
load it up with Enchantress type cards.
With a lot of the best cards for the deck.
Yeah. You just play all the good stuff in those colors.
Yeah, there's something to be said for, I think, commanders like that like kind of top out at a certain point and people can take those and play those in their play group. And, I'm going to build this to the best of my ability, but that won't be as strong as the rest of my decks. So
see if I can, just beat you in the air. Sometimes metas evolve to the point where this strategy will do really well. Mm-hmm. People all of a sudden are like, crap, I can't block half the time. I'm just getting smacked over and over again. All right. Moving on to our Satyr
Lord.
It's Galia of the Endless Dance. There's no success like excess. Red and green for a 2/2 legendary creature Satyr with haste. And other Satyrs you control get +1/+1 and have haste. And whenever you attack with 3 or more creatures, you may discard a card at random. If you do, draw 2 cards. All right.
Okay, so 2 mana 2/2 with haste.
Boy, there's so many
gives your
satyrs,
other
right?
satyrs haste.
There's a ton, right? Please tell me there's a lot.
Okay, so we looked on Gatherer for how many satyrs there were. There are 19 total, but 2 of them aren't in green and red, so there's 17 you have access to. Now there are some other cards that create satyrs, so there's probably more ways to get satyrs out. And then that wasn't counting Theros Beyond Death. So there's obviously Annex, who we talked about earlier, and there's probably some more. Considering they have Galia in this set, I'm going to assume there's more satyrs.
Yes,
but still, it's slim pickings. Like, none of them are awesome.
It's like when I tried to build my Minotaur deck, I was like, oh, this is what I have to choose from?
There's not very many.
Oh, boy.
So you're going to be leaning on your traditional tribal cards.
Uh-huh.
Cards like Coat of Arms.
Herald's Horn.
Yep.
We saw that one to great success when I played my Merfolk deck.
Yep.
You got your Mana Echoes, and you have your Metallic Mimics and all that sort of stuff. Cards that either make you a lot of mana or help buff up your other creatures.
And they don't care what tribe you're playing. They're like, just say the tribe out loud, and it'll work for that.
Yeah.
If it's dragons, this card will work. If it's Minotaurs, this card will work. If it's satyrs, this card will work. But I think you're going to have a lot of those cards in this deck, and then a bunch of, like, bad cards that are the satyrs.
Yeah, I think the most interesting part of this is the whenever you attack with 3 or more creatures, and if you can do so in a red-green token deck, then great. So you've got like Wart the Raid Mother or Grand Warlord Radha, so you're incentivized to attack a lot, and then maybe you can draw a bunch of cards off of that. Grumgully. There's a card called Ulasht, the Hate Seed, which is this Hellion Hydra that's a 2 red-green for a 0/0. Enters the battlefield with a +1/+1 counter for each other red creature you control, and a +1/+1 counter for each other green creature you control. And you can pay mana to remove counters to deal damage or create another green sapperling creature token. So
you make a bunch of tokens that'll give you enough stuff to attack
a bunch, you draw, it's a way to just sort of keep the engine going. The whole Satyr part of it is...
Here's the thing. If a card says when it attacks by itself... do something. Even that can be hard to pull off.
Yeah.
A card that says you have to attack with 3 or more creatures? Like...
At least they're all going to be worthless 1/1s if you do it, right?
It's like, did Admiral Beckett Brass say something like that?
Yeah, it's 3 or more pirates.
Yeah.
And
it's just like, that's just very rarely actually going to happen. So I think like you're lucky if once per game you attack with 3 or more creatures.
Yeah, and that's even if you're playing Galia in the 99, you even get it out for that moment, But red-green is a little bit limited in terms of its card draw, so...
I mean, green has plenty.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
We tried.
Okay, the next one is a really, really interesting one.
Yeah.
I mean...
were our wishes answered? Maybe.
So it's Hackdos the Unscarred. This is the Boros one. Red, white. So 4 mana for a 6/1 human warrior, legendary, of course. Hackdos attacks each combat if able. When you're a 6/1, that's not the best.
Nope.
As Hackdos enters the battlefield, choose 2, 3, or 4 at random.
So roll a d6. 1 to 2 is 2. 3 to 4 is 3. And 5 to 6 is 4, sort of thing.
And then Hackdos has protection from each converted mana cost other than the chosen number. So if you roll and you randomly decide that it's 3, then Hackdos has protection from everything besides 3 CMC stuff.
So 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, all the way up to 1 billion.
So it's going to be pretty protected.
Yeah.
So the attack seeks combat is AFA will kind of makes more sense because if somebody has a 4-drop and that's the color and that's the number that Hackdos doesn't have protection from, you just don't attack that person.
It almost has protection from everything.
Right. It's
almost.
Close.
Its Achilles tendon, because that's what Hackdos is based off of, is either 2, 3, or 4. Now, if you can flicker this a bunch and you always have haste enablers, then yeah, this could be a Voltron-esque commander. I mean, protection from each converted mana cost is pretty cool. It's basically Progenitus, right? Minus 2, 3, or 4.
Yeah, I think it's a lot different than Progenitus. The protection from everything is different. I mean, yeah, but board wipes still kill it.
Yeah.
It's a 4-mana 6/1 that doesn't have haste. Why doesn't it have haste?
I don't know. I mean, maybe
Hackdos
they just
should have
assume
haste.
that you get it otherwise.
I wish it was a 7/1. At least only make me hit somebody 3 times with this thing, which is still a lot.
Yeah, it's true.
To swing 3 times. It's like mildly interesting because of the protection part, but the rest of it is just boring Boros doing the same thing that it always does.
Yeah, attack, but in this case, just be more evasive. I mean, I could see someone doing something interesting with this, but it's not.
Like
this
what?
is, I don't know, constantly flickering it to always change the number in case someone points a removal spell at it. I don't know. I don't know, man. Look, I loved Achilles, though. He's one of my favorite Greek heroes.
Yeah, I love Brad Pitt.
Yeah. Dude, he did work in that movie. I don't know if you guys saw it.
He worked out a lot before the movie.
He definitely did, yeah. All right, this next up is the next god in the cycle. It's Heliod, Sun Crowned. A lot of discussion about this one online. 2 and a white for a 5/5 legendary enchantment creature god. Has indestructible. And as long as your devotion to white is less than 5, Heliod isn't a creature. So you're going to see that text on all of the monocolored gods. Whenever you gain life, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature or enchantment you control.
So enchantments can get counters now?
Relevant because there are a lot of enchantment creatures in this set. But you can also just put it on like a Mirari's Wake. And then it just gets a +1/+1 counter. 1 in the white, another target creature gains lifelink until end of turn. So you can give creatures lifelink, and then whenever you gain life, they get a +1/+1 counter, or you can put it on something else.
Or you can put it on enchantment, as we said. When I first saw this card, I was like, another life gain, white card, boring. However, turns out there's a bunch of combo-tastic stuff you can do with it.
Yeah, you can just go infinite with 2 cards in particular, Walking Ballista as well as Triskelion. Both of them have text that allows you to take a counter off of them, and it deals the damage to a target creature or player. Now, if you gave it lifelink with Heliod, another 2 mana, 1 in the white, or lifelink in the other way, you get a +1/+1 counter back. So you can essentially just keep putting the counter on, taking it off, and just ping someone at
Yeah, you go, I hit Jimmy for 1, I gain a life. I put the 1/1 counter on Walking Ballista. I take it off. I hit Jimmy for 1. I gain a life. I put the 1/1 counter on Walking Ballista. Do that to gun down Jimmy, get rid of Mel, knock out DJ.
Instantly. Actually, I would go after DJ first because clearly I did. Clearly, he's my mortal enemy on game nights for some reason.
Sure.
And then I go the other way around.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so Walking Ballista and Triskelion both go infinite with this commander. And the interesting thing is you're in mono white. So there's lots of ways to tutor for artifacts. There's
enchantments, yeah.
What do you mean?
Enchantments as well.
Oh, yeah, and enchantments,
Yeah.
sorry. So there's lots of ways to tutor up the 2 pieces of this combo. So there's Enlightened Tutor, which can get you an artifact or enchantment. There's Idyllic Tutor, just reprinted in this set, gets you an enchantment.
Yes.
Recruiter of the Guard gets you a small creature. Walking Ballista and Triskelion are both 0/0s in your library. There's Inventor's Fair. There's Academy Rector. So there's a bunch of ways to find the pieces to this combo, which actually makes it pretty powerful, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't play a lot of combo-y decks, and our meta is not about combo, and we generally find combo to be not super satisfactory as a way to win the game. However, you're in white, maybe mono white.
Yeah.
Like, at a certain point, it's fine, because you just got to do what you got to do to try and win games. So,
Just
I
think
don't know.
that you now have a 2-card infinite combo in your command zone with this commander.
Yeah.
Makes mono white suddenly a bit more appealing.
Yeah, although I
terms of
still
the
don't know
ability
if it's
to
a
win
deck.
games.
Yeah, exactly. It makes them slightly more powerful, maybe, with this one commander if you build it that way. But does it make it
Interesting.
Yeah, because I still I hear that and I'm like, well, I don't want to build that deck or play that deck.
Because you just you're trying to end it the same way every single time.
It just doesn't feel very like it's going to be very satisfying.
Yeah,
to do it that way.
Your mono white so you get to gain a lot of life. But if you put this in other decks, you can combine it with like Spike Feeder. Persist mechanics help a little bit too, because you gain some life and you can get rid of the -1/-1 counters. I think this in general is the most interesting to me because you can put a +1/+1 counter on an enchantment.
But then what do you do?
Yeah, I mean, like you could Opalescence.
You'd have to turn, or Starfield of Nyx, turn your enchantments into creatures.
Dance of the Manse.
Sure.
Yeah, make a bunch of creatures. I mean, like that's like even then the end result is like then you swing out, kill them with your enchantments. That's kind of fun, but not really. So the problem with this is just it's way too linear, and it's doing a mechanic we've seen done to death with white.
I think there are a few interesting things you can do. Persist is another thing. So like Kitchen Finks, if you ever had this in Kitchen Finks out with like a sack outfit, that's just infinite life, right? Because the 1/1 counter from Heliod negates the -1 counter from Persist.
Right, both triggers go on the stack,
and
you bring
Kitchen Finks gains you the life to just self-perpetuate that.
Right.
But there's like 3 cards that are all artifacts, and they allow you to turn those 1/1 counters into other advantage. And so there's Workhorse and Crystalline Crawler, and both of those allow you to turn your 1/1 counters into mana, basically. You can remove 1/1 counters and turn it into mana. So those could be good with Heliod. And then Mindless Automaton allows you to remove 1/1 counters and draw cards. So this is a way to turn life gain into 1/1 counters and then turn those 1/1 counters into the 2 pillars of the format, card draw and mana ramp. It's a convoluted way to go about it, but if you're in mono white and Heliod's your commander, you don't have access to rampant growth and stuff. So maybe that's a way to supplement your mana rocks and your, white's lack of card draw and kind of get there more. I don't know.
The only upside to that is that, downside one, you always have to have your commander out to do it.
Right.
Upside is it's very hard to remove your commander. So chances are it sticks around for a long, long time.
And it's a 3-drop. So like you're getting it out early and you're going to have that effect for most of the game probably.
And the artifacts don't add to devotion either. So you're not making it more vulnerable that way.
Yeah. I still don't think that makes it great, but it's something.
It makes it more interesting. Again, I just wish lifelink wasn't such a constant thing in white. I mean,
just life gain based 1/1 counters. It doesn't feel super exciting as far as like Feather did. How Feather was like, ooh, this is a totally new thing that makes a bunch of cards playable and excites me to build the deck. Heliod is like, there's some stuff you can do, but it doesn't exactly make you excited.
No.
Yeah.
Not too excited.
All right.
This next card, though, I think is a bit more exciting. It's 1 red and a green for Klothys, God of Destiny. 4/5.
So the only multicolored god, right?
Yeah, I think so.
The other ones are Titans.
Yeah.
Or Giants, sorry. They don't have Titans,
It's a 4/5 for 1 red and a green, indestructible, as long as your devotion to red and green is less than 7, so it's up to 7 because it's a multicolored god. Klothys isn't a creature. At the beginning of your pre-combat main phase, exile target card from a graveyard. If it was a land card, you add red or green mana. Otherwise, you gain 2 life, and Klothys deals 2 damage to each opponent.
Such a weird
red-green graveyard hate.
So it's like a weird... Okay, I just want to go over it again because it's... At the beginning of your pre-combat main phase, you exile a card from a graveyard. It can be your graveyard, can be anybody's. So you choose a card, you say, that card's exiled. If it's a land, you get a mana.
Okay, so you ramp a little bit then.
Yeah, you get either red or green. If it's not a land, you gain 2 life, and then all your opponents take 2 damage.
From Klothys.
From Klothys, if that matters. It's not combat damage, so it's not commander damage.
Yeah.
And a rules note, Eli Schifrin, who's the rules manager at Wizards of the Coast, said this on Twitter and verified with us before we played game nights because this is one of the decks being played on that episode. If there is no cards in graveyards, there's no target. The ability won't even go on the stack, so nothing will happen. So if there's not a target, you don't get any of the things.
Yeah.
So there has to be something in graveyards, which means when you play this on turn 3, a lot of times there's not going to be. I mean, maybe somebody to fetch land or something, but in general, there's plenty of games where there's just nothing in graveyards early. Later on in the game, it's going to be a given that you're going to get something, but a lot of times there's no land.
It's just weird that it's a red-green graveyard hate card. Like, it can really pick out things from the graveyard. I guess green does it with, like, scavenging and stuff.
I mean, you can fuel this yourself. So you would play all the fetch lands.
Yep.
So you're making sure that... Because I believe you want it to be ramp early on and then switch over to damage later.
Yeah, I think you need to be filling up your graveyard the most consistently for your own ramps. So cards like Ayula's Influence, which lets you drop lands for bears. Seismic Assault lets you discard lands and it deals damage. And then Living Twister, been looking for a place to put this in the deck. I think this is the perfect deck for card for Klothys, which is a red-green 2/5, and you can pay 1 and a red to discard the land card, deals 2 damage to any target, and you can pay green to return a tap land you control to its owner's hand. So it's, it's kind of fun there.
Yeah, Harrow is a card that lets you sacrifice a land and then put more into play. Even your Rampant Growth and Kodama's Reaches won't put lands in the graveyard, but they'll put a card there.
Yeah.
At least you can do the damage.
Yeah, and then the damage side of things, a card that we're actually mentioning a lot in this set review later on, it's Torbran, Thane of Redfell. This card just gets better and better every time I look at it. It's 4 mana, 1 red for a 2/4, and if a red source you control would deal damage to an opponent or a permanent controls, it deals that much plus 2 damage instead.
So now Klothys is dealing 4 damage.
To each opponent?
That's actually a lot and going to add up fairly quickly.
Yeah.
Dictate of the Twin Gods, Furnace of Wrath are damage doublers.
Yep.
They'll also work against you, so be careful. Or does Furnace? At least Dictate does.
Oh, yeah, it does. It's universal.
So Furnace is both.
Symmetrical, yeah.
One of your favorites, Neheb the Eternal, which basically you gain mana equal to the damage that your opponents have taken that turn. So Klothys kind of adds 2 to that. So that's giving you 2 mana instead of 1, I guess.
Yeah, all right.
I think you could put this in a deck that's all about, like...
lands?
Well, no, all about, like, little increments of damage. You put, like, Ankh of Mishras, and you put that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And you kind of, like, try and... all these little 2 damage here, 2 damage there, some damage doublers, get everybody kind of low. Remember, Klothys, you gain 2 life.
Right. So you're going the opposite direction.
So maybe you finish everybody off with like an Earthquake or something that deals damage to everybody, but you're just ahead because they've been taking 4 damage when you've been gaining 2, and the gap's just gotten like, 7 or 8 life points, even though you're taking from Ankh of Mishras and everything too.
That's kind of interesting. I could see you putting this in a Lord Windgrace deck just to help out with those lands you're discarding potentially. Omnath, Locust of the Royal, also loves lands and all that stuff, especially fetch lands. Corvold works with this, obviously. So, I mean, the card is... it's weird. It's just a really strange card, but I could see this being a good utility player in a lot of decks. Also, just like a strong creature enchantment. It does a lot, and if you're caring about damage or you want another way to ramp, maybe in your meta is super fetch land heavy, so Klothys will always help out there. I don't know.
Yeah, weird card. All right, the next one, I like this one a lot. It's Croxa? Croxa.
Who knows?
Titan of Death's Hunger. It's a black and a red for a 6/6 legendary creature, Elder Giant, because Titan is not a subtype, evidently. When Croxa enters the battlefield, sacrifice it unless it escaped. We'll get to that in a minute. Whenever Croxa enters the battlefield or attacks, each opponent discards a card. Then each opponent who didn't discard a non-land card this way loses 3 life. Who didn't discard a non-land card this way.
So if you discard a land, you lose 3 life.
Right. Okay, and then it has an escape cost of black, red, which and exile 5 other cards from your graveyard. So what this means is you may cast this card from your graveyard for its escape cost. So if this is your commander, but you let it die and go to your graveyard, at any time that you could normally cast this spell, you pay black, red, and exile 5 other cards from your graveyard, and then you put it back out. And this is a way to bypass commander attacks because...
it'll always cost 4 mana plus those 5 cards.
Right. So if you are putting a lot of cards in your own graveyard, you can cast this over and over. And remember, whenever it enters the battlefield, your opponents discard a card and potentially lose some life. And that's even if the first time you cast it from your command zone, which means it will not have escaped. You'll immediately sacrifice it.
Yeah.
But if you put it in your... graveyard, they're still going to discard the card, and now it's sitting in your graveyard waiting to be escaped later. Or you could cast it, sacrifice it, put it back in your command zone, and it'll cost 4 the next time, which is the same as if it would escape anyway.
Yeah, actually, I think that's what you would do the first time it dies. Because 2, a black and a red is, I think, easier than black, red, and 5 cards.
The only thing I would say is if you escape it, it's going to stick around. So maybe the second time, if you want the 6/6. I think the escape mechanic reads pretty bad, but actually plays pretty well.
Yep, because this is a trigger that happens when these cards enter the battlefield, which means you can respond to it, and it's going to exist on the battlefield for that temporary moment before the trigger resolves. So there are things that you can do in the meantime.
Yeah, so you can do things like Altar of Dementia, sack it real quick, mill yourself for 6 cards. That's the cards you're going to use now to escape it back into play. You can Erratic Portal it, which is make it bounce back to your hand.
Right.
So you can cast it again for 2 mana, make everybody discard another card. Because remember, the enter the battlefield trigger will still go on the stack.
Yeah, this is an interesting card for me because I would rather find ways to just make people discard things. Like, that's interesting to me. If you play Chainer, Nightmare Adept, you can discard the card and you can cast a creature card from your graveyard. So it still costs black and a red, but you get the effect that everyone discards a card except for you, and they potentially might lose life. So it's like one of those things I think would just like chip away at people if that's what you're going for.
Yeah, that's what I think you're going to want to do. Is this is a discard deck, but the Altar of Dementia and the Iraq Portal still work towards that same end because you're just replaying Croxa over and over again.
Yeah, you can play like Cedrus, the Traitor King, and give this Unearth, you know? So it's just like, there's lots of interesting things to do. Sir Conrad's going to ping people for more and more life.
Ashnod's Altar, Phyrexian Altars are good with the escape cards because, again, before you sacrifice it to the escape mechanic, you sacrifice it and gain the mana back. So if you have Ashnod's out, play this for black and a red, sack it, get the 2 mana back. It's almost like you just made everybody discard a card for free as far as like, because it's in your command zone.
And then by the time the escape trigger happens, it's already dead and you put it wherever you want to.
Obviously, you're going to put the normal waste not type cards that care about your opponent's discarding things, Geth's Grimoire, Pain Magnification, because people are taking damage in increments of 3 unless they discard lands or unless they don't discard lands.
Yeah. Actually, Pain Magnification works really well with Croxa.
And then one of the best cards, I think, for any escape card that's in your command zone is Mirage Mirror. Right. So remember, I think it's easy to overlook, whenever Croxa enters the battlefield or attacks, you get the trigger of discarding the card. So the thing is, you just have to swing with Croxa to get that. Right? So if you have Mirage Mirror out, play Croxa from your command zone. Now you're going to have to sacrifice it because you didn't pay its escape cost. In response to that trigger, turn your Mirage Mirror into Croxa. Sacrifice this Croxa because of the legendary rule. Put it into your command zone. Mirage Mirror is already out. It doesn't care if it's escaped or not. It's already on the battlefield. But now you attack with it, get the trigger. That's a really cool interaction. Also, it's going to hit him for 6 probably. So you get double trigger right there for 4 mana. That's a lot. 4 mana, everybody discards 2 cards. And then you can
put them super far behind. You can do this as early as turn 3, probably.
And then you can potentially do it again next turn by paying the escape cost.
Yeah.
You know, that could be 4 cards over 2 turns. That could just knock some decks completely out of the game. Like, either I can't hit my land drops now, or I can't cast the spells that I kept.
Yeah.
Or I have lands, but I don't have any spells left.
This is actually really interesting because you can do it so early. Because it's way more damaging to make people discard the majority of their hand in the first 4 turns than it is later, because then they'll have access to more mana. They could play an X spell off the top of their deck for more value. But this way, you're like it's like getting a gut punch in really early, knocking the wind out of someone. You
can Strionic Resonator, double that trigger. I think Croxa is probably underrated. It's hard to know what it's rated because we're doing this before people know about all the cards. But I think it's going to be underrated. And I think this will actually be a pretty cool deck.
This is the one I wanted to build around. Because
me too.
Yeah, the other discard deck I have is that Minotaur one, and it sucks. And this is like reads so much better in every way.
Yeah, so this is me too. I thought this would be actually more powerful than it reads type of deck, and a pretty cool one to build. Also, I think the escape mechanic is pretty cool flavor. You know, anything with escape is basically one of the titans that from Greek mythology that got put in Tartarus and eventually had to escape back out. The fathers or the parents of the gods, the ones that created the gods. Yeah, so cool card.
Very, very cool. All right, moving on now. We have, this one made a bit of a splash online because it's going to hose a standard deck and a Pioneer one too. It's Kunoros, Hound of Athreos. Bark, 1 black and a white for a 3/3 legendary creature Hound. It's a good dog. Creature cards in graveyards can't enter the battlefield, and players can't cast spells from graveyards. So this is a hate dog, not a hate bear, but a hate dog.
It's going to hose a lot of commander decks too, as far as that's just 2 things that a lot of commander decks want to do. It turns off the escape mechanic, right?
It's so flavorful because it guards the underworld.
Yep.
So the underworld is the graveyard, right? So you can't leave, the creature cards can't enter the battlefield from the graveyard.
Spells from there, it's like, nope, you're not getting in here or out of here.
This dog is barking and stopping the way.
So I don't think it's a great commander because it doesn't give you a clear path to build around. Yeah. But it's going to be good as a hate bear style card, hate dogs, sorry.
Yeah.
in other decks. As if you're not playing around in your graveyard at all, this is a good card to put in your deck to just be like, you're not either.
Yeah, I mean, like, I do have an Anafenza, the Foremost deck, that stops a lot of graveyard shenanigans too, and it's just my commander as an enchantment I always have access to.
Right, because that's a token deck for you.
Yeah, it's like a catch-all. If I see a deck that this needs to be played against, great, I always have access to it. I don't need to tutor up. So you might do that with a Kunoros type deck, but Black and White does have a lot of really good options for fun commanders, but I do love the flavor on this.
Yeah, I think it's probably going in the decks, few decks built around it, but
I wish they made the dog a little cuter, but that's just me.
Got to guard their underworld. It can't be cute.
I mean, Would you say no to like a really adorable puppy if it was like, no, you can't leave? 3 heads, like, please don't leave.
You actually stay because you just want to pet it.
You're like, all right, fine.
All right, to the next one is the Green God Nylea Keen-Eyed. 3 and a green for a 5/6 legendary enchantment god. Indestructible. As long as your devotion to green is less than 5, Nylea isn't a creature. It says, creature spells you cast cost 1 generic less to cast.
Okay.
So there's some ramp for you. In a creature-heavy deck, obviously. And then you can pay 2 and a green and reveal the top card of your library. If it's a creature card, put it into your hand. Otherwise, you may put it into your graveyard, which is crazy because you can also put things into your graveyard.
Yeah, it's kind of like Surveil, the mechanic where you can dunk stuff into your graveyard. Otherwise, you're drawing it if it's a creature card.
I misread slightly. If it's a creature card, put it into your hand. Yeah. So if it's a creature card, you can't choose to put it into your graveyard.
You just draw it, yeah.
Yeah. Still, just the mana reduction and the ability are going to make it playable, make it like a decent card. Now, the rate's not great. 2 and a green, I'm not sure I really want to do that.
No, but with infinite mana, you do draw or put your entire library
all of your creatures, all your creatures in your hand and all your rest of your deck into your graveyard.
Yeah.
That's true. So
a lot of times these cards say put them on the bottom of your library in any order, but this time you actually can churn through your entire library with a card like this.
So one of those decks that wants to let Labman win and happens to have green also could run this because most of them are trying to get infinite mana.
If they have blue, you can play Training Grounds type thing in there too.
That's true. It doesn't require tapping, so you can do that as many times as you want. I think it's obviously good with creatures that, like artifact creatures, that are always going to reduce the cost in some way.
Yeah, so you have like your Cloud Keys and your Semblance Anvils that will make things cost less to cast.
It's kind of like redundancy for her ability.
Yeah, the Great Henge.
Just good in all decks.
In any green deck, but this one as well, because it's a creature-based deck and it's helping ramp you. It's good with Escape, because you mill the cards into your library or your graveyard, so it's fun.
Yeah, it's kind of generically, middling powerful, I think.
Yeah.
And if you're going to create infinite mana, then all of a sudden it can be crazy.
I think Nylea is definitely the most forgettable of the gods so far.
Not because it's bad, just because the
power level is just right there in the middle, where it doesn't excite us too much. It doesn't dismay us at all.
It's just not that interesting, too. It's just like, hey, are you playing creatures?
Yeah.
Yeah, and there is combo potential, obviously, like you said, with the sort of draw your entire deck if you have infinite mana. But again, that's not very exciting because a lot of cards do that.
A lot of people were wondering why this card does not have reach, as she is clearly floating.
And she has a bow and arrow.
Yeah, ground creatures only. Polukranos Unchained is our next legendary. Polukranos is back and scarier than ever. 2 black and a green for a 0/0 legendary creature, Zombie Hydra. It has Escape on it, but this is the only Escape card that I've read that doesn't force you to sacrifice it when it enters the battlefield. So instead, Polukranos enters the battlefield with 6 +1/+1 counters on it. And it escapes with 12 +1/+1 counters on it instead. So this is a 4-mana 6/6. If damage will be dealt to Polukranos while it has a +1/+1 counter on it, prevent that damage and remove that many +1/+1 counters on it. 1, a black and a green, Polukranos fights another creature. And it can escape for 4 black and a green and exiling 6 cards from your graveyard. This card, I think, is actually really pushed.
I mean, definitely for standard and stuff, it's very strong. It's removal, repeatable. Also, the card itself is recurable.
Yeah, and it's a 4-mana 6/6, so even if it doesn't get dealt damage, it's just this massive thing.
Yeah, for Commander, it's a little bit mana intensive to actually use the ability.
Yeah.
3 mana is a lot. And you're probably only going to be able to kill like one thing, if that. And then it'll be like a 3/3 after that because it took damage. And then it might not be able to take down anything huge. But then you can maybe get it killed, escape it. And now it's a 12/12 and it can kill some more stuff. A lot of hoops to jump through for like what you're getting. So I don't know that really has a home in our format.
Threat of activation, though, is pretty significant here.
Yeah, true.
You got your 2/2s running around. Be like, well, 3 mana, I will be able to get rid of it.
Yeah, but 3 mana is just so much to do it. It's, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, at least you get to do it a bunch.
Yeah.
That's a nice thing. You're going to play this with your +1/+1 counter themes. You got your Hardened Scales, your Doubling Seasons types effects. Now, if you have like a Magebane armor on this,
okay,
you don't take combat damage. And so Polukranos can attack freely and you won't lose the stuff, the counters from it. But you will still lose it from the fight effect. One card that people...
Wait, you don't take non-combat damage, right?
Oh, yeah. No, sorry. Yeah, so this non-combat damage. I'm sorry. So it's the opposite of what I just said.
So Magebane protects the fight effect for Polukranos, which I think is the important part.
That's actually pretty neat.
Yeah. Greater good.
Yeah.
It's just super good with any escape creature that has green in it because... I'll read Greater Good. Yeah. 2 green for enchantment. You sacrifice a creature, draw cards equal to sacrifice creature's power, then discard 3 cards. So you could sack Polukranos, draw 6 cards, put 3, then you discard 3 cards, so you're helping power up its escape mechanic for when you replay it, and then can do that again. And also you can do it at instant speed, so if it's sitting around and somebody goes to remove it or board wipes, I'll just draw 12. That's fine.
Yeah, the nice thing about it, again, 4 mana, 6/6, so it's great for greater good because you get a low mana cost for a high power. Gargos Vicious Watcher is our Hydra King. It can make your Hydra spells cost 4 less to cast.
Yeah, Pelucranos is a zombie Hydra. It would count for the escape mechanic too, because you are casting the card from your graveyard.
Right. And then Vigor is really interesting. So 3 green for an elemental incarnation. It's a 6/6, and it has this text on it. If damage will be dealt to another creature you control, prevent that damage. Put a +1/+1 counter on that creature for each 1 damage prevented this way. Now, both this and the text on Pelucranos is a replacement text, and I found out online that if you have both of these out, you get to choose which replacement text becomes the permanent replacement text. So your Vigor is going to override Pelucranos's, and so that now anytime damage is dealt to it in a fight or whatever, you actually put that many +1/+1 counters on it instead of taking them away. So your Pelucranos just becomes an absolute monster.
Yeah, Vigor is nuts.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good one.
Very nuts. And then if you have like a Gerard, Golgari, Lichlord deck, then Pelucranos is a great creature to sacrifice and make everyone lose a lot of life, which is fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, Hydra
It's
Tribal.
a strong card. I don't think you're probably building a deck around it.
Pretty good with Marin too.
Yeah.
Clendel Toth, Gave, because of those +1/+1 counters, all that good stuff.
All right, the next card is
I'm excited for this one.
the mono red god. It was the best mono colored god last time, right?
For Commander, for sure. It's definitely the most played, I think.
And then, well, we'll see what you think about this one. It's pretty good. Perforos, Bronze Blooded, 4 to red, 5 mana for a 7/6 enchantment creature god, has indestructible. As long as your devotion to red is less than 5, it's not a creature. It says other creatures you control have haste.
Hey.
Pretty good. And then you pay 2 in a red, and you may put a red creature card or an artifact creature card from your hand onto the battlefield. Sacrifice it at the beginning of the next end step. So it's sneak attack on a commander. However, there are some slight restrictions. So it has to be a red creature card or artifact creature card. So that doesn't count like Eldrazi because they're not artifacts. They're just colorless. It doesn't give the creature haste, but... No. Perforos says all your creatures have haste. This is worse, though, because if you activate this, drop something scary onto the battlefield, and they remove Perforos, that creature doesn't have haste, but you'll still have to sacrifice it at the beginning of the next end step.
Especially if that creature gives Perforos devotion as well.
Yeah.
It becomes a creature.
So
and it costs 3 mana, too. So Sneak Attack just costs 1 red. So.
Yeah. Sneak Attack's way better, but can't be in your command zone. This is a very powerful ability, though. Sneak Attack is among the more powerful cards in the history of Magic as far as what it does.
And just having access to a Sneak Attack in your command zone at all times,
crazy.
That's hard to remove as well, is really crazy.
Talk about how scary this will be to play against.
Yeah, you have no idea what's coming down. Blightsteel Colossus is, I think, the most scary option you can really throw down.
Like, let's say they ramp this out and put it out on turn 4, and you don't have a blocker, and they're going to untap. Like, you could just be dead.
Yeah.
Like, every time. Like you don't know. Maybe you're not.
And it's hard. It's hard as heck to get rid of.
Yeah, because, again, they're indestructible enchantments if it's not devoted, which you don't want to devote these cards. You don't want them to be creatures. I think the best card in the deck by far will be Sundial of the Infinite, which you pay 1 and you tap. Sorry, it's a 2-mana artifact. You pay 1 and tap it, and you end the turn. So you can only activate this ability during your turn. And what that means is you exile all spells and abilities from the stack, discard down to your maximum hand size, damage wears off your creatures and stuff, and this turn and until end of turn effects end. This means that if you sneak attack, we're going to call it sneak attacking out stuff. If you use Perforos' ability to cheat something into play, Sundial of the Infinite means that you don't have to sacrifice it. It's going to stay there. So you just got it out. You Quicksilver Amuleted it out for 3 mana, basically.
Yeah, and even if someone points removal at it, Sundial of the Infinite, it allows you to end the turn, and then you exile the spells from the stack. So you can actually, it's kind of like a protection thing on your turn, too. Let's say you go to combat, you swing, and they're like, okay, I got to get rid of this.
And you're like, okay, Sundial. Yeah. That counters the removal spell and keeps your creature around.
Yeah, pretty fun.
Yeah.
Painter's Servant obviously is a card that would work in this deck too. If you were like building a sneak attack mono red deck with sneak attack and like the Titans and a ton of ramp, then a Painter's Servant allows you to make those Titans also into red cards.
Yeah, it could make your Eldrazi into red cards if you wanted to have a few of them in there.
Yeah.
It's dangerous because you don't want Perforos to not be able to cast stuff if you don't have Painter Servant.
Yeah,
so.
you never want to rely, like putting Perforos in a multicolored deck and relying on Painter Servant to make it work. It's just not where you want to be. Conjurer's Closet also is going to exile those cards before they get sacrificed to the Perforos ability.
Yeah, Conjurer's Closet, at the beginning of your end step, you exile a creature you control and then return it to the battlefield under your control. So what would happen is at the beginning of your end step, Perforos would say, hey, you got to sacrifice that card because it's the beginning of the next end step. Conjurer's Closet, you could just stack it so that happens first, exile it out, comes back, and the thing that came back doesn't have Perforos' little claws on it, so you just keep it forever.
Yeah. Other good cards to put out there, we just list a bunch of them. Combat Celebrant, you can exert it, and it gives you an extra combat step. Fury of the Horde is a sorcery that just gives you a lot more attacking. So the new card, Terror of Mount Villas, is this dragon that when it enters the battlefield, creatures you control gain double strike until end of turn. Keep in mind, you can activate Perforos' ability a bunch of times. So
yeah, that's the thing I think people don't think about. You can, if you have 9 mana, you put 3 things out and swing with them right now, and they could all be like 9 mana things if you had that in your hands.
And because it's all activated abilities, a card like Ironcrag Feat actually looks decent in this deck, which is a 4 mana sorcery that adds 7 red mana. So because you're not casting spells, you're just using Perforos' ability.
Mana Geyser, I think, is probably the one you really want.
That's, definitely the big one.
Oh, this one's mean.
Bearer of the Heavens. When it dies, destroy all permanents at the beginning of the next end step. So your commander sticks around, and you just have to kind of get back up to 3 mana again to keep using this ability. Who knows? You can also activate the sneak attack part to get the enter the battlefield effect on your creatures for just 3 mana. So Godo Bandit Warlord's a good one, finds an equipment and puts it onto the battlefield. Also, Godo can give you extra combat phases. That's a ton of value for 3 mana.
Yeah, so Godo's really, really good. Scourge of the Throne, extra combat steps out of nowhere. Extra combat steps so powerful with sneak attack because, like I said, if you go Scourge, something else big, I'm going to attack with both those things twice. That's usually going to mean somebody's dead.
Yeah, or so close to dead that they are ineffective and can't really commit to the board in different ways then.
There's stuff like Savage Beating that's more extra attack steps. Oh, this is a good one.
Yeah, Ilharg, the Raise Boar, kind of best friends with Godo, Perforos. They kind of do the same thing. When Ilharg attacks, you can put a creature card from your hand onto the battlefield tapped and attacking. So you use Perforos, sneak attack this guy out. He attacks, he puts something else onto the battlefield.
And then you could even sacrifice Ilharg not to feel too bad about it because it has the clause of the gods from the last set, which is when Ilharg dies or is put into exile from the battlefield, you may put it into its owner's library third from the top. So you're going to draw it again and do that thing again. So Ilharg gets you maybe a couple things out into play. Yeah,
and Ilharg's ability doesn't sacrifice the creature that it puts out. So unlike Perforos' thing, Ilharg is going to be able to get your really valuable maybe double attacker out, and then a couple turns from now, if you can draw to it faster, who knows?
Yeah, because it bounces back to your hand. Yeah. Imagine Scourge of the Throne. So you go Ilharg, attack, put Scourge of the Throne out.
Bop, bop.
Or Scourge of the Throne, a when you attack trigger. See, this is where it gets complicated.
Oh, yeah, when it attacks for the first time each turn.
All right, so it's not going to work with Scourge of the Throne, but you get what I'm saying. You can do some cool stuff.
Tons of cards, like the Terror of Mount Velas, I'm telling you. Just give everyone double strike.
A cool one is Assault Suit. So that's a 4-mana equipment. Equipped creature has +2/+2 haste and can't attack you or a planeswalker you control and can't be sacrificed.
Aha!
So at the beginning of each opponent's upkeep, you may have that player gain control of equipped creature until end of turn if you do untap it, and it's 3 to equip. So you could cheat something big out and play like a Blightsteel or something, swing with it, put Assault Suit on it so you don't have to sacrifice it to Perforos, and then you don't even have to give it to somebody, but you can.
Yeah.
You could be like, hey, if I give you this, are you going to take care of Mel over there? And if you say yes, then here you go.
Have fun. Go nuts. All right, Blightsteel Colossus is obviously the one you want to put out with that.
Hellkite Tyrant's also a really good one.
Yeah, Hellkite
Just
Tyrant's
out of nowhere
pretty
steal
crazy.
all your artifacts.
Yeah. And then you give it to him with Assault Suit, being like, well, you know.
Well, they can't attack you, so they can't steal the artifacts back.
Exactly. They're all mine.
All right, the next card is
Renata, Called to the Hunt. This is 2 green for a legendary enchantment creature demigod, a star 3. Renata's power is equal to your devotion to green, so it comes out as a 2/3 by itself. Each other creature you control enters the battlefield with an additional +1/+1 counter on it. Well, I will say that white's sticking to life gain and green is sticking to +1/+1 counters in this set.
Yeah, not very exciting, but does work with like persist creatures. So if you have a sacrifice outlet and a persist creatures are creatures that come back when they die if they don't have a -1 counter on them, and then if they do come back, they get the -1 counter. So they can basically, the design is they're supposed to die once, come back, die again, and be done with it. But because Renata says creatures ETB with a +1 counter, the persist is gonna cancel out the -1 and +1 counters. So they'll just keep coming back over and over. So
And
if you have a sack outlet, yeah, you can just do it over and over. So Woodfall Primus is kind of the classic one of these, which is a 6/6 creature for 8 mana, 5 green. When it enters the battlefield, destroy target non-creature permanent, and it has persist. So if you ever get this out, you just blow up everything that's not a creature, including lands.
Yeah, vicious.
Single-handedly wins you the game most of the time.
And makes everyone really, really not like you. If there's a way to make people not like you, this might be it.
It's blow up all their lands.
Yeah, I mean, that's just so rude.
It's pretty boring overall, though. This is stuff we could do. This is a cool one, I guess.
Yeah, Cauldron of Souls. You can choose any number of creatures to get persist. So then you give them all persist. You sack them all, and then boom, they come back to the battlefield. You get more, ETB effects.
Yep.
Yeah, fun stuff. Grumgully is a commander. You might put this card in that gives creatures +1/+1 counter. It's just more redundancy for that effect. Inspiring Call is an instant that draws you a card for each creature you control with a +1/+1 counter on it, and again, indestructible. Same with Armorcraft Judge, similar creature that draws you those cards. Rishkar gives all those creatures with +1/+1 counters the ability to tap for green. So the list goes on.
This has all been done before.
Yeah, +1/+1 counters it's nothing super duper exciting, but it works.
All right, the next one is Siona, Captain of the Pyleus. It's a 1 green/white for a 2/2, human soldier, legendary. When Siona enters the battlefield, look at the top 7 cards of your library. You may reveal an aura card from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. Whenever an aura you control becomes attached to a creature you control, you create a 1/1 white human creature soldier token. So anytime an aura attaches to one of your creatures, you get a 1/1.
Yay!
You can even attach an aura to the token to get a 1/1 token.
Right.
It doesn't say non-token.
And Siona will draw you those auras. This is kind of a nombo with bestow cards because in your deck they are creatures. But when you play them, they're auras, so you don't get to actually draw them with her enter the battlefield ability, but you do get the +1/+1 counter if you cast it as an aura. It's kind of weird.
A card that comes to mind is Flicker Form. So it's 1 and white for an enchant creature, aura. And it has the ability, pay 2 and 2 white. You exile enchanted creature and all auras attached to it. At the beginning of the next end step, you return that card to the battlefield under its owner's control. If you do, you also return the other cards exiled this way, the auras that were attached to it, to the battlefield under their owner's control, attached to that creature. So you flicker it out, flicker it back in, get the 1/1s for all the auras that were attached to it. And it also, if you could get like 3 or 4 auras attached to that creature and do this, you might be able to like make a bunch of 1/1s really fast. And also protects it. Like if they go like, well, I don't like that setup, go to kill it. Well, I flicker it.
Yeah, or they kill it before you even attach Flicker Form to it.
Yeah, well, yeah. If you go attach Flicker Form and they kill in response, you're in big trouble.
It's perfect. Here's the deck that wants to go wide with tokens, but also be Voltron. Siona, Captain of the Pyleus. Rancor is a really good enchantment with this because Rancor keeps coming back to your hand whenever it's put into the graveyard from the battlefield. So you get to get the 1/1 counter, or the 1/1 white human soldier creature token triggers a lot.
Rancor costs 1 green mana, so if you have Phyrexian Altar out, you can sack the creature that Rancor is attached to get the green mana. Rancor comes back to your hand, cast it on one of the other tokens, creates a token, sack the token for the green mana, Rancor comes back to hand. So you can have infinite creatures entering the battlefield, which generally, if you get that set up, you can figure out a way to win the game with
kind of like Storm Off, I guess. And you cast a bunch of things a bunch of times. There's a card that's Kitsune Mystic, which is a 3 white Fox Wizard 2/3, and it's one of those cards that flips upside down at the beginning of the end step. If it has 2 or more auras on it, you flip it, and it becomes Autumn Tail, Kitsune Sage, that can pay 1 mana to attach target aura from one creature to another creature.
So for 1 mana, you create 1/1s, and that with Ashnod's Altar will automatically go infinite, right? And move them around, make the tokens. The 2 mana pays for the 1 mana, so you're always up 1 mana.
Move it, sack a thing, keep going.
There's Bramble Elemental, which is similar to Siona, which is a 4/4 for 5 mana, 3 green. Whenever an aura becomes attached to Bramble Elemental, you create 2 1/1 green sapling creature tokens. So this is a redundancy for that effect.
Yeah.
You have to target the Bramble Elemental, not any of your creatures, but still.
This is just like one of those cards that we've talked about where it's not that exciting and it's not that boring, but it's kind of just utility in a very sort of narrow instance. So I don't expect this card to be particularly...
You can build a token deck around this and it'll be using cards that token decks don't normally use, but it'll probably play in a similar manner, which is like I try and create a big board and then pump all that stuff and attack and kill you.
One card I do really like is Kenrith's Transformation, which is 1 in green for an enchantment aura, and when it enters the battlefield, you draw a card. So it cycles itself, which is great, and it turns a creature to lose all abilities into a green elk with base power toughness 3/3. So it's good green removal for something that's like a crazy card that has a lot of abilities on it.
Yep. The only thing I will say is that I wish Siona said whenever an aura you control becomes attached to a creature.
A creature, yeah.
But it says a creature you control, so you have to attach it to your stuff. Because otherwise you could, use some of the pacifism types of effects. And I think it would be way better if your removal turned into 1/1s.
Yeah, big whoop.
Yeah.
But you do get Winds of Wrath. It's a board wipe that kills all creatures that aren't enchanted. So
go you got that going for you.
Us.
Which is nice.
All right, Terranika, a Crowan veteran. It's 1 white for a 3/3 human soldier. I'm already bored. It's got Vigilance. I'm still bored. Whenever Terranika attacks, untap another target creature you control.
As soon as you said whenever Terranika attacks, I was like, oh, crap.
It's true. Hey, it's Vigilance, so it can block them
Hey,
right
it's
back,
a
right?
white or red card that cares about attacking.
But look, you untap that creature, and then until end of turn, that creature has base power and toughness 4/4 and gains indestructible. So you can attack with 2 things, and you give that thing indestructible, and it makes it a 4/4. Yeah. So it kind of turns things into Gideon.
I thought Boros Reckoner, which deals damage to stuff equal to the amount of damage it's taken. It's generally a card you want to give indestructible. Because remember, Terranika will give that thing indestructible until end of turn.
Yeah, gains indestructible. Until end of turn, yeah.
So you could then do other stuff to Boros Reckoner, like, deal it damage somehow. I don't know.
Stop hitting yourself, deck, right?
I'm reaching for stuff here.
There are good cards that are tap abilities that this might be good with.
That's probably the most interesting way to use Terranika, which is like you don't care about the 4/4 and the indestructible part. You're more using it to untap stuff.
So Intrepid Hero is 2 in white for a human soldier. You can tap it to destroy target creature with power 4 or greater. You can do that twice in the turn.
Which is pretty powerful.
You can also target itself now that it's a 4/4. But it's indestructible.
Mother of Runes.
Yes, and the Giver of Runes.
Did you just put this in there just because you wanted me to say the Scottish thing?
Yeah, that's why I definitely tried to say I talked about the card before, right?
Yeah, Mother of Runes. Runes. So 1 white mana for a human cleric, 1/1, but you can tap it and target creature you control gains protection from the color of your choice until end of turn. So you can do that twice.
You can also give it to Terranika in case someone blocks it. Yeah, get a little free attack out of it.
This is an underrated card, Witch Hunter.
Yeah, I've never seen this before.
2 white for a human cleric. It's a 1/1. You can tap it and it deals 1 damage to target player or planeswalker.
It's a white pinger.
Or you pay 1 white. Yeah, this is the most unwhite card ever. You pay 1 white, tap the Witch Hunter, and return target creature an opponent controls to its owner's hand. So unsummon stuff, which is a powerful ability. Makes it hard. Like, threat of activation is big on Witch Hunter.
And even better in mono white when you just don't really do stuff like this.
You don't really do anything but attack.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, the next card is the Mono Blue God. Thassa is back. Thassa Deep Dwelling. 3 and a blue for a 6/5. Enchantment creature God. Indestructible. Has the devotion thing. At the beginning of your end step, exile up to one other target creature you control.
Okay.
Then return that card to the battlefield under your control. So Conjurer's Closet.
Yeah.
On a
commander. Creature.
Conjurer's Closet on a commander.
For 4 mana instead of 5.
And also has a secondary ability, which is you pay 3 and a blue and then tap another target creature.
Cool. Okay. This card has potential. I think a lot of potential here.
This is the Yarok of the set, I would say, in that it's going to be difficult to build a Thassa deck that doesn't do stuff, because all you got to do is play creatures that have ETBs.
Yeah.
If you do that, Thassa's going to do the rest. You're going to get value. Now, how good those creatures are, how good your deck building is, will determine where on the scale it is. But it's hard to build a Thassa deck, that's lower than a 5 probably, or a 6.
True. Yeah, you want cards that also want to be tapped. So Verity Circle is an enchantment that says whenever a creature an opponent controls becomes tapped, if it isn't being declared as an attacker, you may draw a card.
Yeah, I think an alternate build of this, or maybe a sub-theme of the like Blinky Creatures build, is like relying on that tap another creature ability. Or not relying on it, but just making use of it in some way.
Get a lot of value off it, because there are a lot of things that you can get value off of, especially if you're going to play the sort of control stacks-esque build.
So like Meek Stone would be really good in this deck because it's a 1-mana artifact. Creatures with power 3 or greater don't untap during their controller's untap steps. So this is a way to tap down a creature once and that's it. It's never going to untap.
Yeah.
And this takes care of really big creatures. And again, threat of activation with Meek Stone out is just like, hey, don't attack me.
Yeah.
Or they can't attack because that's just not going to untap.
Those get tapped, yeah. And Static Orb sort of has the same thing. No players can't untap more than 2 permanents during their untap step.
Here's an interesting thing. When Thassa blinks something, it's going to come back onto the battlefield untapped.
Right.
And so you're going to get a little bit of advantage from things like Static Orb, and Stasis. Maybe there's a way to work that. You're not going to make a lot of friends doing that kind of stuff. But it is a way to sort of, use Thassa, I think.
Other cards that want cards to be tapped. Betrayal is this interesting blue enchantment, costs blue, and then enchant creature and opponent controls. Whenever that creature becomes tapped, you draw a card. Daring Thief is a card with the inspired mechanic, which means that whenever it becomes untapped, you may exchange control of target non-land permanent you control and target permanent and opponent controls that shares a card type with it. Normally, it's really hard to attack with these because people would just try and kill it, but you can tap it with Thassa, untap it at the end step, basically. Goes to your turn, and boom, you switch some stuff.
Maybe those creatures that you already got the ETB, so you don't care if they get it now.
Yeah. Another card from the Theros block is interesting. I don't know if this is actually good or not, but Thassa would be a card in the deck. It's Disciple of Deceit. It's blue-black for a 1/3. Whenever it becomes untapped, you may discard a non-land card. If you do, search your library for a card with the same converted mana cost as that card, and then put it into your hand.
Oh, it's just a little bit of a tutor.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. Like, there's a lot of things that when they become tapped or untapped, you draw you a card, some Merfolk, the card like King Makar, the Gold Cursed.
Right. You'd have to be in a different deck because it can't go in the Thassa deck.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm interested in Thassa. I think it would be a very interesting thing to build a mono blue deck around. Definitely not super duper powerful, but tons of value. A lot of guaranteed value, pretty much.
Yeah. I think the tap thing is more interesting to build around than the blinky part, which is like, we know how that goes and it's going to be good, but it's not super exciting.
Yeah.
The tap thing is definitely interesting, but the problem is you're probably going to rely on the Conjurer's Closet part a lot because why not? That's just generically powerful.
I think you put Thassa in any Brago deck, any Yarok deck, any deck that
it's Conjurer's Closet. And if Conjurer's Closet goes in the deck and it has blue, this is just probably better. It's indestructible and it's one less mana.
And it has more abilities on it.
And exactly. It can do other stuff.
Fun. All right. Next up, we have a buff card. Look at this guy. Thrix, the Sudden Storm, 3 blue for a 4/5 legendary creature elemental giant with flash and flying. It's a flying giant. Mm-hmm. Spells you cast with converted mana cost 5 or greater cost 1 less to cast and can't be countered.
It's interesting that the word storm's in the name, but you wouldn't storm off with the ability in any way.
The costing 1 less to cast is nice, but usually you're not.
But it has to be 5 CMC or greater. You're not starting off with like a bunch of 6 mana spells.
What this means to me, though, is that you cast this as late as turn 5, and then the next turn you have access to 7 mana beaters that can't be countered. So cards that I think are really good at 7 mana, I looked this up, Diluvian Primordial, Royal Elemental, because you can pay 6 for it, or pay 5 for it, and then put another land into play because you don't need the 7th land there, or the 6th land. Perplexing Chimera is a card that people counter on site, so it's a way to get that down. Blatant Thievery costs 7 mana, so you're able to play this on turn 6. Cyclonic Rift, you can now overload a turn earlier. Mind's Dilation is another 7-drop. Swarm Intelligence, another 7-drop. So
I'm scared of putting that many high CMC cards in my deck because if they just kill Thrix, you're just like, okay, so then now I'm not doing anything for a long time now.
Yeah.
Also, the spells can't be counter thing, I think, is a little bit misleading because while that spell's on the stack, it's possible to kill Thrix and then counter it.
And then counter it, yeah.
It's not like that's the easiest thing to do, but it's possible to still counter things because it's on a creature.
It's not like Thrix cannot be removed either. He's...
I mean, if I had a deck and it was already, I thought, good, and it already had a bunch of 5 CMC or greater spells in it, then maybe I put Thrix in there, but I don't think I build a deck around Thrix.
No. Doesn't seem very, like a good idea. All right, next up, one more card after this one. It's Timurit, Chosen from Death. It's the final of the Demigod cycle. Black for a 2-star. Timurit's toughness is equal to your devotion to black, so by himself he's a 2/2. 1 in the black, exile up to 2 target cards from graveyards. You gain 1 life for each creature card exiled this way. So he's kind of like Scavenger Ooze.
Scavenging Ooze, yeah, it doesn't grow or gain you life or anything. So
it gains you life for the creature cards, but
you're right.
It doesn't grow. But exile up to 2 target cards, so even if you have 0 targets, you can still pay 1 in the black to do this effect.
Oh, yeah. You wouldn't gain any life, but you're just like, I'm using my mana.
Yeah.
Sure, it's just kind of mediocre, generic graveyard hate, which can be useful and is fine. We were trying to think of any cards that go with this, and Murph was like, I don't know, the Eldrazi processors?
Yeah, the ones that care about cards that are in opponent's in opponent's exile piles.
Yeah, so like Wasteland Strangler is a 2 in a black for a 3/2 has Devoid, but it says when it enters the battlefield, you may put a card an opponent owns from exile into that player's graveyard. If you do, target creature gets -3/-3 until end of turn. Yeah. There's a bunch of processors. This is just the one we used as an example here because it's black and could go in this deck. Timoret maybe goes in some decks as a graveyard hate tool, but I
think that's
doubt...
all it is. It's just an okay graveyard hate tool.
I don't even think it's that great. You probably just rather run your Tormod's Crypts and stuff like that and call it good.
Relic Progenitus.
All right, the very last new legendary card from Theros Beyond Death is the card I'm going to be playing in the next episode of Game Nights. It's one of the Titans. It's Uro. I always probably say this wrong because in like Hawaiian, the U is an U sound. Like it's not ukulele. It's ukulele.
Ukulele, yeah.
And so I want to say it that way. But in Greek, I don't know. So it might be Uro or...
Uro?
Uro. I don't know. Uro, URO, Titan of Nature's Wrath. 1, a green and a blue for a 6/6 legendary creature, Elder Giant. When it enters the battlefield, sacrifice it unless it escaped. So same as, what was that one called? Starts with a K. Crocs. Okay. Whenever your Uro enters the battlefield or attacks, you gain 3 life and draw a card. Then you may put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield. So it growth spirals, but gain 3 life.
Cool.
And then it has escape cost of green, blue, exile 5 other cards from your graveyard. And that means you may cast it from your graveyard for its escape cost. So a lot of the things we said about Crocs are still true here. I think, again, the escape mechanic plays a lot better than it reads.
Yes, a lot of time to respond to that trigger. If you put this in a 2-lane deck, you could bounce it back to your hand, or if you play cards like Crystal Shard.
Yeah, I think Crystal Shard's probably one of the best cards in the Uro deck. It's 3 mana for an artifact. You pay either 3 generic or 1 blue and tap it. You're going to play 1 blue. And then you return target creature to its owner's hand unless its controller pays 1. So the play pattern here is you cast Uro from your command zone. You get the effect of draw a card, gain 3 life, put a land into play. And then it says, oh, you didn't pay the escape cost. You have to sacrifice it. In response to that trigger, you bounce it back to your hand with Crystal Shard. And now you can play it again.
The land you put into play could be an island as well. So you can use that for the Crystal Shard, right? So you're just getting so much value. You're always casting Uro for 3 mana, and you're always getting a life gain, card draw, and mana ramp.
And the land doesn't come into play tapped, so it comes in play untapped, which is pretty important because it basically makes Uro cost 2 if you do that right. So that's a play pattern that's cool. Ashnod's Altar, another way to just sack it in response, get some of the mana back. Same things we talked about with Crocs. Altar of Dementia, I think, again,
really good.
Yeah, mills the 6 cards, so now you're going to definitely be able to escape it. Greater Good, just like we talked about, same thing, sack it and draw 6, discard 3. Hedron Crab, really good with Uro because...
Landfall.
Yeah, so it's a blue mana for an 0/2. Landfall, whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, target player puts the top 3 cards of their library into their graveyard. So you play Uro, Hedron Crab's already out, you draw a card, gain 3 life, put a land into play, mill the top 3 cards of your library into your graveyard, and now you've gotten close to, if you play a land next turn, you can escape out Uro.
Nice. Selvala is really good. Uro's probably going to be the biggest card on the battlefield, so you're going to draw a card because of Selvala's ability, as well as then pay green and tap Selvala and add 6 mana to your mana pool before Uro disappears into the graveyard or whatever else you decide to do with it. So just so much
Yeah, with
mana.
Selvala, you might even be able to play Uro from the command zone and escape it back into play in the same turn.
As long as you have some blue mana, yeah.
Yeah, so... Well, it's any combination of colors
you're right,
from Selvala,
right.
so she'll give you the blue. So that's like crazy. Yeah, so it'd be draw 2 cards, gain 3 life, put a land into play, then put it back out, draw 2 more cards, gain 3 life, put a land into play with Selvala. Selvala's nuts.
That's just so much value for a single turn. And then Mirage Mirror, again, with Escape works really well because you can use the copy clause on it before the creature gets sacrificed, and then if you're able to attack with it, because you play Mirage Mirror a turn earlier, then boom, you get the double trigger. So lots of really good stuff going on there.
Yeah. Take a second look at the escape mechanic. I think a lot of people are maybe not you don't understand.
Commander.
Like
we have the ability to really mess with it.
And once you have like 50 cards in your graveyard, Uro has no commander tax for basically the rest of the game. Just costs 4 mana every time.
Yeah.
All right, well, you might notice that our close changed a little there. We actually forgot one commander to talk about, so we're splicing it in here through the magic of editing.
Yep, and we tend to forget these because they're the Buy a Box promo, so they kind of slip past the radar. But this one is actually one of the returning gods from Theros. It's Athreos, Shroud Veiled. It is a 4 white and black for 6 mana total, legendary enchantment creature god. That's a 4/7, indestructible, and it says as long as your devotion to white and black is less than 7, Athreos isn't a creature. At the beginning of your end step, put a coin counter on another target creature. Whenever a creature with a coin counter on it dies or is put into exile, return that card to the battlefield under your control. So the coin here isn't money, it's the coins that were placed on people's eyes as they pass down the river Nyx. Yeah.
All right, so this is interesting. I think the first card that comes to mind for most people is Skullbriar.
Yeah, Skullbriar is a card that actually keeps counters on it as it moves from zone to zone. Now, typically these are +1/+1 counters, but in this case, it actually lets you take Skullbriar if you're playing an Abzan deck, and then boom, he keeps the coin counter, it dies or it exiles and comes right back.
Right. Skullbriar technically loses the counters if it goes to hand or library, but as long as it's graveyard or exile, coin counters would stay.
Yeah.
Which means that if you have a coin counter on it, and you sack it, it'll come back immediately with the coin counter still on it, which means you can sack it and it'll come back immediately with the coin counter still on it. So that's like I think the first sort of infinite combo that everybody came up with for this.
Yeah.
Obviously very powerful.
Yeah, it's really powerful. The thing that to really keep in mind is that this card cares a lot about things on the end step. So you actually have a lot of interesting things you can do here. If you're using cards like Goryo's Vengeance, which is a card that puts a legendary creature card from a graveyard onto the battlefield, the creature gains haste, and then it has a clause that says exile at the beginning of the next end step. What's going to happen if you have Theros out at the same time? Both of these triggers are going to happen at the same time, and then you actually get to choose which one goes first. So you can say, all right, I'm going to bring back this legendary creature. It's going to attack, do whatever, and then it's the end step. Boom. I can choose to have the Theros trigger, put a coin counter on that creature first, and then the card like Goryo's Vengeance or Shallow Grave or Corpse Dance is going to say exile it. And so boom, it's gone, and then it's immediately right back.
Because of Atheros' ability. Yeah, I think one of the unique things about Atheros is that it allows coming back from exile. Usually we're used to that coming back from graveyard. Exile's not... usually on available to you as something that you can get things back from. An interesting thing about Atheros is also that it says it brings it back under your control. Similar to Marchesa, your favorite deck. So yeah, and the other thing is that it doesn't care if you're exiling the thing forever. So if you flicker, which exiles the creature, it'll come back under your control. So put a coin counter on somebody else's creature, flicker wisp it, comes back under your control.
Yeah, and notably, it has to happen at a different point. It can't be an instant speed, flicker it, and it immediately comes back. It needs to say something like Flicker Wisp does, which is like, when this enters the battlefield, exile another target permanent, and then return that card to the battlefield under its owner's control at the beginning of the next end step. So that means that when it disappears, Atheros is going to snatch it out of the exile zone and put it under your control, and then the second part of that ability doesn't work anymore.
Right, so cards like Eldrazi Displacer, Deadeye Navigator, because there's no pause in between, they say... exile target creature, and then return it to the battlefield under your control, all in one sentence. There's no moment for Atheros to sort of snag it in there.
Yeah, it'll exile it and it'll come back and the trigger will have happened, but Atheros doesn't have like a chance to like grab it.
Atheros' trigger will still be on the stack when it comes back, basically.
Yeah, I think so, because it does exile and come back, but it's already come back by the time because it's part of the resolution of the effect.
Interesting. Okay, well, look up the particulars of that rule if you're going to do that. But there is some play there, I think, as far as like. I think Atheros is probably best used as a steal other people's stuff commander, because that is a more powerful thing to do than kind of like sack your creature twice.
Yeah, and there's no real way to double up the coins you put on things except for Stratonic Resonator, so that's going to be one of the best cards in the deck.
Well, I don't know, because if you put 2 coins on it, what's that do for you?
No, you get to do it twice. You get to put 2 coins on different things.
Two different things, yeah.
Yeah, it's like you can't unfortunately copy like weird counters like this onto other things. You can do it with like +1/+1 counters and stuff, but coin counters is so specific.
2 different targets, yeah.
Yeah.
There's also like if you Sakashima Atheros, you could get 2 triggers. That's the only other way I could think of.
Yeah, Spark Double is the same thing. Helm of the Host.
Oh, Helm of the Host, of course.
But you can break that a billion other ways.
And by the way, like Helm of the Host as a plan in your deck is not a good one because it never actually happens.
Yeah, and Atheros needs to be a creature.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of hoops to jump through there.
But coin counters, like it seems slow. 1 coin counter per turn is very slow. Like even if you're stealing 1 creature every turn, which you have to have another effect to do it, right? Just putting a coin counter on something doesn't do it. You have to kill or exile that creature.
Board wipe, do whatever.
Yeah, and what are you going to do? Like coin counter, then board wipe? Sure, your plan over the course of 4 turns really worked out, but that's if nothing gets disrupted.
Atheros is indestructible, though, and, maybe it's just... I mean, white and black's not great at stealing creatures, right?
Yeah, it's true. I think that I was trying to play around with moving counters around somehow. So Fate Transfer or Leech Bonder are 2 cards that can move any type of counters around. But
interesting.
I didn't come up with any way to make that actually do anything. So maybe there's something there. I mean, doubling season and then that maybe. I don't know. I think this card is like fine. I think you can have some sort of sneak attacky things that you do, like Warrior's Vengeance is like that. Unearth is a mechanic that like you play a card out of your graveyard, but it's going to go away at the end of turn. If you could get a coin counter on it real quick, then you could keep it around forever again. And there's some slightly tricky stuff you can do. But
if you have like Astral Slide / Astral Drift decks, those are all about cycling and then exiling things and flickering them. But the thing is, Atheros costs 6. I do like that you can play cards like Long Road Home, which is something that exiles a target creature and then it returns with a +1/+1 counter on it. So it's like almost protection, maybe for something else in your deck if you're trying to protect it before Atheros comes out. I don't know.
Yeah, but you can use Long Road Home as like a control magic deck.
Yeah, all of a sudden it grabs something with a coin counter. I think if you're just able to have Atheros out one turn, it's probably not going to get removed. It's an indestructible enchantment. You can remove one thing at that same end step that you play it, and you steal a creature and 6 mana. That's not the worst.
But it's not like blow your mind incredibly powerful either.
But I think it's actually an interesting commander, I think, to build around. Maybe it could be very politicized. Who knows?
Yeah, I think the politics of it are actually pretty good. I thought like a Mathis deck.
Yeah,
this could be quite good because Mathis puts a bounty counter on the thing. So you put the coin counter on it, put the bounty counter on it, and then everybody else will be incentivized to kill it.
Yeah.
So that's interesting.
It is interesting indeed. Well, it's going to be an interesting card to build around. I may or may not think about it. That's basically giving me every single option available to me.
All options available to you.
Yep, that's how we do it here in the Command Zone.
All right. This is the part of the program we do every time where we decide what our favorite overall new commander is. I wrote down some that I think are nominees.
Yeah.
So Perforos, Heliod, Thassa, Dalekos, Uro, and Croxa. I think we already said we want to build around Croxa.
Yeah.
So that's going to be our favorite, isn't it?
I think that's I don't know. Maybe favorite overall for me is just Perforos because I do love Perforos. It's my favorite Greek god as well, Hephaestus, god of the Forge.
And it's a really cool card with a cool, like, sneak attack on a commander. It's pretty sweet.
And it's like in a way that feels not as busted as they made it back in the day, which I'm okay with. I don't need every card to be sneak attack level powerful. Like, I think it's still very interesting to work with the restriction of it costing a little more mana for a not as powerful effect, but still very good.
And to piggyback on what you said there, I think if we look at this batch of legendary creatures as a whole, these 20 whatever cards we said it were, one thing I really like about it is there isn't a Prime Speaker Vannifar in here.
Yeah.
There isn't one that feels...
Ugh.
There's no Urza in here. At least from us looking at it on our first run through, I don't feel like there is a tier 1... easy to break, competitive, super broken commander in here. There's some interesting stuff, and I hope they do this more. I think this feels more fun than just having a couple of like, oh boy, yeah, of course, that thing's going to be crazy powerful.
Well, let's ask, did Urza make our format better?
No, I don't think so at all. And I don't think it made any format better because they're having problems with it in modern and stuff
every
too.
format, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So I like this batch of legendary creatures. The escape mechanic's interesting. It's powerful, but you have to jump through a lot of hoops to make it work. I think a lot of them work in that way. I think Perforos is powerful, but you have to jump through hoops to make it work. They put the right restrictions on it. I really like what they did.
It makes it more interesting to build around, at least, and it challenges people as deck builders.
Yeah, so this seems like a good batch of legendary creatures. To the listeners, what's your favorite new legend from Theros Beyond Death? Do you agree with Jimmy? Is it Perforos? Do you agree with me? Is it Croxa? Do you have a different pick? Are there any cool interactions or combos you see for that card or any of the cards that you think we missed or didn't talk about?
Yeah, we tried to be pretty exhaustive this time around, but I'm sure
we always miss
cool
some
stuff.
Yeah, we always miss some. We're recording this generally before the world knows about most of these cards, so we do our best. Hopefully we didn't miss too many.
You know who else does their best? Card Kingdom. And they what?
And they do a great job every time. Their best is great.
Yeah. Their best is like incredibly fast shipping, really great buyback system as well if you're trying to sell cards. If you go to cardkingdom.com/commandzone, you type that affiliate link in, it'll bring you to their website, and from there you can peruse their entire catalog of all the cards from Theros Beyond Death. You can pre-order right now, or you can buy booster boxes. You can get all sorts of products surrounding these cards, as well as build a deck. Maybe you do need to buy a Crystal Shard or something else.
Sundial of the Infinite.
Yeah. So great website, great service, great sponsor. Thank you, Card Kingdom. You should check it out.
You should also check out our other awesome sponsor, which is UltraPro. They make all the best stuff to protect your stuff. And also, they do all the stuff that's themed around the most current set. So if you build a Perforos deck and you want Perforos sleeves and Perforos playmat, Perforos deck boxes, that's the type of stuff that UltraPro is going to have. So if you want to protect your stuff and make it look cool, UltraPro is the way to go.
And sometimes they do cool stuff like the wall scrolls and specialty playmats that you can't, anytime you go to a GP and they have UltraPro product there around that GP, pretty cool too.
All right, now it's time for the end step where we talk about something cool outside the world of Magic. We've just agreed on something cool to talk about.
Yeah, I haven't actually seen it yet because I've decided to play the video game first to get more into the world.
I thought you'd seen it based on your Twitter post.
I'm very familiar with the video game series and the numerous memes that has spawned off.
Okay, so it's The Witcher, which is the Netflix series with Henry Cavill playing Geralt of Rivia.
Yeah.
I'm not familiar with the books, and I've played a little bit of the video games, but
the books
not much.
Apparently are phenomenal.
Yeah, which is weird because I love fantasy books, and I've read a lot of them, and just never read the Witcher series for whatever reason. Anyway, it's like a 7-ish episode, 6-episode series on Netflix. It's got its fairly high budget.
Yeah, it's people heralded it sort of as the new Game of Thrones type thing.
It's not that. It's different.
If you're into the fantasy world, if you're into sort of like because the books and the video game all have this, and so does the show, but it's a really cheeky and kind of weird, funny humor. The show looks to be stock full of it. I've been reading a lot of the reviews that people have had, and people are, if anything, just very intrigued by it. And it seems like a really fascinating world. The production value looks really good. I've seen some of the sword fights they've done. They do a lot of one takes. They do a lot of really choreographed stuff. And Henry Cavill, people are saying, just kills it.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say is, full disclosure, I don't think Henry Cavill is generally great in stuff. He's fine in a lot of things, but he's not a person that I would put on like
a top 10 list.
A great actor. List of great actors. He would just not come to mind. Sorry, Henry. Obviously, you listen to this show. Actually,
he's a big gamer, though.
He's a gamer, so you never know. But and I don't think he's been horrible in anything, right? I just think he's like very medium. I thought he was really good in this series. I thought he's doing some interesting things, and and physicality wise, he's great in everything he does. And so the fights definitely look really, really good. I enjoyed the series quite a bit. I didn't think it was perfect. Definitely not like. It's definitely not like the good years of Game of Thrones or anything.
The good years.
Yeah. You can't just blanket say it's definitely not Game of Thrones because there was a range of Game of Thrones.
Yeah, definitely.
But it was interesting. I thought they made some interesting choices that in the gaps between episodes, it felt like there was a bunch of story that happened that we weren't privy to. Yeah. And so there was even one episode where I started to watch it and I paused and I was like, oh, I must have skipped an episode.
Nope.
And I went back and I was like, nope, I watched the last episode. Well, geez, a lot must have happened in between there because
that's funny.
Yeah, but I just assumed. But in general, I thought it was good and entertaining. It's rated R, so for the people with kids or kids out there,
The show is about a world that has crossed paths with like a dark demon-esque thing, and as a result, a lot of crazy creatures and monsters are in the world. They've also affected the people living in the world, and witchers are these magical humans that are basically paid to be bounty hunters for these.
And there's this mages guild, and there's a lot of politics involved with like how they work in the different kingdoms and stuff. So I can see why there was some comparison to Game of Thrones, even though it's not as deep into that part of it. It has like a Monster of the Week quality to it also, which I thought was kind of refreshing. We don't do that much anymore. So anyway, The Witcher on Netflix, I think is a good watch.
All right, moving on to the final cleanup step of the show. Our editing, graphics, and logistics team here at the Command Zone House is Craig Blanchett, Ashlyn Rose, Alfred Destaka, Josh Murphy, Jake Boss, Sam Waldo, and of course, our brand new addition, and most likely the person editing this video, is Lady Danger. So welcome to the team.
Special thanks to Geoffrey Palmer for the living card animations that start and begin all of our content, as well as the cool animations in the windows behind us. Yeah. You can find Geoffrey at Living Cards MTG on Twitter.
And there's going to be a new one for Theros very soon for our Game Nights episode.
That's right. Keep your eye out for that and for that episode. All right, everybody. Thanks for watching.
And we'll see you next time.
Peace.
Thank you for your attention. For further inquiries, send an email to commandcast@rocketjump.com or ask us on Twitter @JFWong and @JoshLeeQuai. See you later, alligator.
Greetings, humans.